Welcome back, guys. I'm Jo Pickard, and our penultimate product demo this week comes from CADM. Over the last 20 plus years, CADM have specialised in high quality, innovative products for workspace management using CAD, web, and mobile technologies. CADM's products design methodology is to produce easy to use software suited to all organisations with workplace problems. The focus is to help users save time and money so they can reduce waste, work more effectively, and plan for the future. Today, they will be demonstrating Accordant, which they say is the world's most advanced workspace management tool, with modules including Finder, Occupancy, Move, Space, Strategy, and more. After the demonstration, Alan Rose, CADM's CEO, will be joining me to answer your questions. I hope you enjoy.
Accordant is a space management system for everybody, not just for the largest, not just for the smallest, and not just for the most technically gifted amongst us. We've been providing this service for over 20 years to companies of all size throughout the world. And it's a system you can set up very quickly and use very easily without lots and lots of interaction with CAD drawings. And in fact, if I just go into one of our simple pages at the moment, you'll see that I've loaded a floor plan, which isn't coming directly from a CAD drawing. It started off life that way, but you could have started off life as a PDF or as an image. But we produce a mapping system based on these, which allows you to interact with them with any modern browser. I'm using Firefox. You could use Microsoft Edge, you could use Google Chrome, doesn't really matter. But the point is you don't need to install lots of plugins. As soon as your system is set up and ready to interact with, you just need a browser enabled to use it. So what we can do is click on individual desks and we can see what's there. You can see I've got some people sitting on these floor plans at the moment, and I can view who's there. I can view which department owns the desk, and I can view exactly what's going on around it. I can go to other floors if I wish to, so I'll use my navigation at the top and go to the Manyi building in Hong Kong, and I can see if I drill into the areas there. And again, I'm just using my mouse wheel to do this, exactly the same as I would on Google Maps. So I don't have to remember any commands or zoom like I do on CAD. And here I can see I've got people and I've got equipment. Now you can use this to store equipment, but you can really use it to store anything. If you want to store meeting room configurations with pictures, if you want to store records of assets, whatever they may be, from incubators to pieces of art, you can do that on this screen. You can create instant printouts from that. You can print out the whole floor, or you can just sort of say I'm interested in the view that I'm looking at the moment. And by default, it'll just give you what you're looking at with names on the desks. You can change the format of the names on the desks for different names. You can also change what you're looking at. You can look at the rooms, the space that's been configured around you. You can look at departments. You can look at functions of people within the building. So you can see where all the employees are. You can see where the temps are. These are all things that you can set up and configure to be exactly how you need to manage your space. Also, over the last year, we've helped a lot of companies out setting up social distancing. It takes a long time to work out by hand which desk can be used and which desk can't. So we give you simple tools that just allow you to switch on a 2-meter social distancing and find out what the optimal configuration looks like on a particular floor. So I'll say optimal, and I'll take the whole floor. What does that look like? And it'll work out which desks I would need to turn off in order to use the floor space safely. Okay, now this is what we call look but don't touch application. You can interact with things and you can print them, but you can't actually change them. So we have other modules for doing that, and you would give people access to our occupancy system, which would allow you to change the configuration. You can move people from one desk to another. Like all of our modules, it has a dashboard that you can configure, so you can show key bits of information that are happening within occupancy. Once you get into the system, though, you've actually now got the first use of what we call our bus, which is a temporary area when you're moving people around. And you can pick people up and drag and drop them to new locations. So I can take this chap, Hanley, who's sitting on this green desk, and move him onto this yellow desk over here. Now what you'll see is that the colors swapped over, because yellow we're just using as a corporate real estate default, and we've configured the system to release the desk when we take a person off. And it's reallocated this yellow desk to the green color that's associated with Hanley's department. So instead of worrying about rooms and constantly changing departments on rooms, Accordant lets you go down to the desk level, just very easily dragging and dropping people onto desks. And that will take charge of the room. It will take control of all the space around the room, and Accordant will split up the space for you. So you don't have to keep revisiting the CAD drawing in order to make sure that you've got things up to date. You can do this yourselves very, very simply. Now, in addition to just people that you've got on the floor at the moment, if you have new people arriving in the organization, they can be put into these holding areas here, and you can very easily move them onto desks as soon as they're available. So you can take people out of your new area and just place them on the bus area, from the bus area onto the desks themselves. You've also got the ability to track vacancies. So if desks become vacant for any particular reason, we will assume they're vacant until you say otherwise. So you can say you're actually using it for a hot desk at the moment. So the system will record that there's nobody sitting in a particular desk, but it's being used for a specific purpose. And again, you can track that right the way across the whole system with your occupancy page. So I can see right the way across my Asian portfolio exactly what kind of shape I'm in at the moment, with little alerts that I've set up to say when buildings go particularly hot because they're running out of space, or particularly cold because they're nearly empty. You've also got tools in here to work with primary desks and exceptions. We also record history for you, and these final screens at the bottom are administration. You can set up multiple levels in Accordant. I've got privileges in this application, so I can use these extra screens at the bottom, but a basic user wouldn't be able to. Now, those were instant moves. We also have a strategic move system, which has been used for regular churn and also done major corporate real estate relocations over the time that we've been working with organizations, including many thousands of people. But sometimes it's just used for what-if scenarios. Again, we've got a dashboard for moves, so we can show you what's going on. But if we click into the application, you can see it's project-based. So again, I will start with a project that I've already worked on. And inside this, what you can see is that it's just froms and tos. You can pull these in from a spreadsheet, but we make it much more visual, even on the first screen. So we can show you floor by floor exactly where people are moving from and to. So again, you can see which people are going from which slot to which other slot. This is just a reconfiguration of some agile areas. You can set up agile in Accordant, so you can have many people to many desks rather than one person to one desk. So what we've done with that is we've just set up that configuration. And inside the floor plans themselves, you can again drag and drop people onto desks as you need them, but this time they don't move immediately. This is all done in abstract. And this is just us testing out the scenario to see if our configuration will work. And you can do as many test scenarios as you want. And in fact, you can even change the CAD. So for example, you can redesign a floor, plug it into one of these what-if projects, and actually start moving around as if the floor was in operation immediately today. So this is my current configuration. You can see people being moved around on the floor. And again, if I want to move people off my bus and onto one of the desks, very, very simple for me to do that. If I just want to reconfigure the floor, I can do that. And you can see it's given me from and to locations. Within that as well, you can work with lockers. So if you've got lockers that you're reassigning throughout your job, you can work with those as well. I've got some in this job, I think, on my American buildings. So if I go back to all estates, and you can see on the US buildings in my job, I've actually done a locker reconfiguration that actually shows people freeing up lockers and those being taken over the rest of the move. Again, you can create services for the job. You can distribute documents. And this is one of the most powerful things about the systems. As soon as you've finished working out where your people are going to go, you can produce yourself an instant PDF, which just marks up all the spaces that you've used, where the people are coming from, where they're going to, right the way across your move, chapter and verse, the whole story of your move, even with labels for doors if you want them, with labels for boxes, etc. So a full document that you can distribute to show exactly what's going on within the move. And again, full logging is available, as well as, again, for elevated users, the ability to make this happen and cascade all of these people to their new spots. You've also got a space system in here, which is very, very good for a space accounting. The very simple Accordant space structure allows you to create drawings. And again, you've got simple types of space within Accordant. Within that, we've actually got a breakdown of all the types of space that we're using, and within that we can see precisely how we've generated it by just viewing floors as they came in, as they were drawn up. And you can see this is the floor we were looking at earlier. Very, very simple configuration of space. You actually don't need to draw any if you don't want to measure space, which means that you can use things like occupancy and moves before you've even drawn any space. But what we've got on here is just very simple circulation rooms, and we can specify what types of thing they are. We can assign purposes, we can assign departments, we can assign classifications in terms of how they'll be used for space allocation. And we can see that right the way across our whole portfolio if we look at the measured screen, because I can now see, if I go on to small plans, this is the exact position of all my buildings inside Asia at the moment. It loads them all at once, and I can just pull out details of exactly how my space is being used. And if I wish, I can make a PDF report straight away. So you get straight to what you're looking at into PDF or into Excel immediately without actually needing to run any major reports if it's just something that you need to take across to a meeting. As I say, full control of all your types, balancing tools to make sure everything works properly, split allocations, full configuration of agile areas. And of course, the thing that most people like to look at is reports. We ship a lot of reports with the building, with the application. You can create your own, you can have them created for you, and essentially really anything you can think of you can report on. But what we're actually just going to have a quick look at now is one of the buildings that we looked at earlier on. So a large allocation in the United States. We'll click on the plan, and what we can see here is that it's a full PDF drawing, full PDF markup. And again, I mentioned earlier you don't make you draw lines around desks, but essentially we can create your reports as if you had. So you get full views in full color of how each department, each division is consuming space on your floor plans. So those are the main areas inside Accordant. We also give you the ability to say to test what's going on right now and the ability to project into the future. So if you use our strategic module, you can create projects to show how things will change over time. And you can see here I've created a few here just showing when things will change. You can put in changes of people by department. And you can use the blocking and stacking application to just work with that space and show how you might reconfigure it differently. So you can show how things will grow. You can actually show putting things together onto different floors, how to make best use of a series of buildings, create new buildings, and it tells you when you're running out of space, and it also allows you to make space flexible so that if you want to get more people in, put a flexible strategy in place with multiple people using individual desks. Now, within that, we've also got the ability to survey the space in real time. So if you've got the ability to put in sensors, for example, if you don't have that, you just want to do the space periodically, we've got a survey application you can download onto your tablet. Go out, measure the space a couple of times a day over a week or 2 weeks. And when you finish that, you can actually run all the survey reports just as if you'd had sensors in the building. So you can start to look at things like how does the building perform over periods of time, and run simple reports like the heat map, which shows you which bits are hot and which bits are cold. So you can see quite simply which areas of the building are underperforming and which are particularly busy. Very, very good, of course, for strategic planning. Again, a lot of people are replanning their space at the moment, wondering how to get folks back to work in the most sensible way possible. We've become a big part of that, and also we've extended the booking capacity of the application. So now you can actually do this as well via your cell phone. The Accordant My Desk extension is available for cell phones. It uses HTML5 rather than app, but it's quite easy to pin it to your desktop and actually access either the Finder or the Bookings module. Finder, you'll be able to view floor plans exactly as you can on a desktop, and with Bookings, you can book a variety of different objects throughout the system. Hot desks, hotel desks, as you would expect, but also uniquely to the Accordant My Desk application, you can book your own desk. So, for example, if I am already assigned to a desk, I can make a booking on it, which means I get my desk socially distanced if required and checks me into the building. So you can see I've got availability on Thursday the 27th, so I'll just make a reservation on that. And good, it allows me to go into my desk on those days, which has been very popular during the pandemic, just for getting people back into the office so that we can sort out cleaning schedules and social distancing. On my other desk, you can actually see I'm part of a shift pattern, so it's actually assuming that I'm going to be in on those days anyway. But this desk, other desk in the other office, is simply where I am occasionally. Other than that, if I want to make bookings of resources that are available to me, I'll check availability. I'll set a date. You can set the system to all-day booking if you want, or book a specific time, but I'll check availability a couple of days from now. And you can see in Atlanta, there's green slots flashing to show me where desks are available, and a little red one over in the corner there to show that that desk is already booked. So what I'll do is I'll select one of those, and I'll say that I'm going to be in on that day, and I'll ask if I can have this office. And the system says, yep, I'm cool to have an office. You can actually restrict office bookings within sort of departments or functions, and I'm good to go. Also, if I'm part of an agile zone in any of these areas, I can actually book in and reserve agile desks. These were first come, first served, but if you want to restrict them so that people can book them, you can do that through My Desk as well. Okay, as I say, the application is HTML5, and you can do it through single sign-on, or you can authorize people that are registered as HR users by sending them an access code via email.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for that great presentation. And don't worry if you missed any of our talks this morning or for the rest of the week. They will be available on demand to watch in your own time. So it's now my absolute pleasure to be joined by CADM CEO Alan Rose. Alan, it's great to see you today. We've been having such a fab chat prior to going live today. I feel like it's going to be a really great Q&A. How are you doing?
Yeah, great. It's lovely to be here again. I think the event's been going extraordinarily well. So yeah, looking forward to talking to people about the product.
Brilliant. Right. Okay. Well, the questions are coming in thick and fast. So how long would it take to implement this?
Well, it depends. It's sort of how much space people have. Typically, we sort of put people live in a matter of weeks. So we work with very large multinational companies where it might be sort of a month or two, but quite a lot of our business is people with sort of a couple of 100,000 square feet, and typically we have them up and running in about 3 or 4 weeks.
Oh, it's pretty fast then. So you sort of work within the different parameters of different industries, and then work with them for the time frame. So it's all a bespoke service.
Well, it sort of is. I mean, what we did maybe sort of about 10 years ago is when we were working with other space systems, my colleagues and I decided that what we really hated was drawing lines around things to try and measure them. And a lot of us were from a surveying or architectural background. So we sort of said, well, this is crazy because they move around all the time. So the things that don't move are the walls. So let's get a space system that works based on the walls. And then as people move desks around, we'll just recognize that they're desks and we'll work out the space around them with the software. And it just takes about 70% of the work out. And in the first instance, people said, well, it can't be as accurate. But actually it turns out it's more accurate because people tend to sort of estimate when they're drawing lines around desks. Nobody goes out with a chain and a sort of a white tape and sort of says, this is how much space this desk has. So actually doing it with a computer is a little fairer, but it's certainly an awful lot faster.
Yeah, fantastic. So can this be integrated with a desk booking system that, for instance, somebody might already have?
Yeah, absolutely. We do that with some of the big names in the industry. There's a little desk booking application with the system anyway. It's not sort of we certainly don't go out and sell it as a conferencing system, so you can't order tasty muffins when you book something. But just to sort of say I'm coming in on Tuesday and I need somewhere to sit, you can definitely do that. And it's got a mobile capability as well, so you can do it on your iPhone if you need to actually book some space. But that's a fairly open interface. So we do it interface with other people's conferencing systems, and if they've got an existing booking system, that's fine. But if they use ours, it means they don't have to redraw all the desks. They've already done this. The work's already done. So they just say, let's book them. So you can start using it straight away, which I think is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So can it be made bespoke, as in sort of have certain elements added or removed if it doesn't quite work?
It can, and in fact, there are some what people will say to us sometimes is our standard is that person sits on a desk in an office, and we track the occupancy, vacancy, moves and changes. But sometimes people will say, well, look, we don't have any people, or at least we're not trying to measure them. We're just trying to work out on a large number of buildings how the space works, and whether they're, this is front office, this is back office, or with the NHS, it was more about, this is clinical use, this is non-clinical use. So there were no people there. I think the first time we looked at that, we just sort of said, how can you do it without any people? But it makes perfect sense. And we're actually working with some folks over in Australia at the moment where they're managing shopping malls with it. And again, we didn't think necessarily that it could be used for that, but funnily enough, with very few changes, it's actually perfect for it. So you live and learn.
Oh, fantastic. So it really is cross business if you're doing so many different elements. That's amazing. So what makes you stand out from other companies doing a similar thing on the market?
Well, I think the speed's been important. The fact that, again, sort of myself and my colleagues working with other applications when we started, it tended to be that when you implemented a system like this, you went on the 1st of January and you had lots of project meetings and all those sorts of things. And then maybe later on in the year, the system would start to be ready. And we kind of figured, well, let's get the easy bits done quickly. So if you just want to sort of move people around on desks, then you can usually do that in the first week. And then it comes down to sort of space and how you're going to measure the space a little bit later on. So that speed, I think nobody's as fast as we are. I think we're also very flexible. So we've got, I've got a few users that have got maybe sort of 300-400 people. And they find a use for it, just sort of making sure they've got the right number of people on the desks, and it's a very affordable system. And yet we've got some bigger multinationals that use it as well. And they use everything. They use the strategic space, the booking. They use all the capacity of the system. So we're faster than anybody else. Also, I think we're more flexible. I don't know of anybody else that has tiny clients and huge ones. And everybody says they're user-friendly, but we spent a lot of time just trying to make sure that it just looked simple, and hopefully it came through on the demonstration. It's just sort of fairly simple, and you don't need a degree in architecture just to get some good information out of it.
Which is important. So are there features available for what if scenario planning?
Yes, funnily enough, we when we first created the moves, adds and changes system, we were thinking, well, people will move the office and 200 people will move here, and you'll have to sort of move around. If you've got an office of maybe sort of 1,000, 2,000 people, you're always like those puzzles you have when you're a kid when you're moving tiles around. But what we discovered, about half of our moving jobs weren't being restacked or completed. And we thought, oh, don't people like it? And when we went out and talked to the customers, we actually found we created a killer strategic tool, because everybody was doing what if scenarios. They were saying, well, could we move the accounts department down to the basement? Could we rationalize everybody in that building? So it's actually the move system is an extraordinarily good tool for doing that. A lot of people use it in that way, because you can just plan real people and how they might move into particular scenarios. And also we added in that the ability to redraw. So you can actually say, it's not live at the moment, but we might be putting 20 new collaboration zones in here. So you draw them up, you put it as a piece of the project, and you can give it to teams to put people onto slots. And about 4 years ago, we introduced a strategic planning module as well. So you could actually sort of do blocking and stacking and actually sort of say, well, if we got the capacity, if we got the density to this level, and if we got the agility to that level, how would our people fit over these buildings? What would happen in 6 months' time? And if we grow by 30%, then when's the roof going to blow off in Birmingham? So it's become a very big part of what we do. And I think, as people start to go back to work and get some real data, as people actually go out and start using their offices, hopefully it's going to be very, very useful to people to say, what are we going to look like in a year's time?
Yeah, you did a panel yesterday, didn't you, and talked a lot about that, the future, and what do you think is going to be, sorry, I'm just totally off piste here, but what do you think is going to be the future trends?
Well, it was sort of 3 men with a beard looking at crystal balls yesterday a little bit, but except Paul, who didn't have one. But yes, and I think anybody that sort of tells you they know what it's going to look like in 12 months' time is probably wrong. Because we really don't know. And I think there are things out of everybody's control, whether it's sort of government or whatever it might be. We don't know what variants come around the corner. We don't know when lockdown will be eased. We don't know when it's going to be fairly normal to go back into the office and, hug people or, just sort of slap people on the or in a most appropriate way. But you don't know when that's going to happen, and things are going to be normal. So when that happens, it's then going to be a question of, how much do people want to come in? And the office being a destination, somewhere where you come because you have to do something specific, not just that you have to come because it's your job. So if you're doing focus work and writing reports or code or whatever it might be, these are things that you can do at home. But you don't want to be at home all the time necessarily. You do want to get in, you want to meet colleagues, you want to collaborate, you want to share ideas. And the office has to work like that. It has to be somewhere where you can come. And as I mentioned yesterday, we've seen some great innovations where people have just sort of said, well, we're not using the meeting rooms as much as we were. So during the lunch hour, we'll open them up for charity use. So if you're doing a fun run, you basically say to the company, we're doing the fun run, we'll have a fundraiser, we're going to do it in a meeting room over lunchtime. Company provides, orange squash and snacks, and one particular company will actually match every pound that you raise. That's wonderful, and people are going to want to come in for something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds fantastic. So, can you incorporate sensor data from with the workplace?
You can, and we do regularly. But my only sort of slightly reticent because I feel it's only about half the picture. On any given day, for the people that you've got using your desks, one will be sitting down, one won't be in the office at all, and one will be in the office but not sitting down. And that's sort of we've got about 70 million different measurements that we've made over the last sort of 10 years or so with companies right around the world. And that holds pretty true for most sort of modern, if you like, knowledge-based offices, where you've got people that are sharing ideas. So if you've got sensors, you know when the desks are being used, but that will just confirm what everybody already knows, that about a third of the people are actually using their desks. And that's useful, particularly if you're starting to plot agile areas. If you're sort of saying teams of people are going to come in. Well, if all the salespeople are out selling things, they hardly ever need the desk. So if you've got 50 desks for them, they won't be coming in if they're out and being successful. So you need to know that they're only ever using 2 of them. So yes, we have an interface for exactly that sort of thing, so that you can plan, take the sales team down to 10, and then maybe have operations up to about 30. That's important. But also you've got other information that you can put into there, like cameras, people counters, all sorts of things. And I'll tell you what's going to be hugely important, which we're already doing as we go forward. Most of the sensors that you're working with these days have a variety of measurements, so heat, humidity, but CO2, I think that's going to be absolutely huge, because as we go back in, we need to know that the offices are well ventilated. So the number of parts of CO2 per million is going to be a measurement that everybody wants to take, and we're looking to incorporate that into the system as well.
Have you worked and changed through the pandemic then to be able to help your customers? Have you put specific elements in to help maybe with social distancing?
We have, as a matter of fact. I mean, I think when we first started off, and nobody knew what was going to happen in sort of March, April of next year. Most of our clients were coming to us saying, look, we want to run different types of reports. Before it was, we wanted to know about that. We want to know how we can put a skeleton crew in if somebody tests positive for COVID, how we can work out who was around. It was almost like we were doing track and trace before track and trace was a thing. And then when people moved out of the offices, the focus was how to get them back in. What's it going to look like when they come back in? So we added social distancing, so you can do that really quickly. So rather than making people laboriously draw lines around things, because we hate that, we worked out a way that we could very easily show you how to socially distance an office. And actually, we worked with the government department, and they did, 800 buildings in about 30 seconds to work out what the capacity would be. So that, and also towards the end of last year, shift planning. If you want to bring people back in shifts and work out that they're going to be safe and they're going to be a suitable distance from each other, we added that. And of course, like everybody else, and we've mentioned it before, booking, different types of booking, reserving your own desk, booking a hot desk, and actually, funnily enough, with a lot of companies, who can book what, how senior you have to be to book a particular desk or be in a particular department.
It's so amazing, isn't it? You know, your company and lots of other companies have really thrived and grown and sort of developed their offering to be able to survive and thrive through COVID. I mean, I just honestly, it's really great hearing that you've put those things in to really help businesses that are already with you guys. So, how long does it take to set up from order to go live, for instance?
It's normally fairly quick, but it really depends on what you're going to do. I think, for example, if somebody just wants to manage their occupancy, just to sort of really just the classic people on seats, socially distanced or otherwise with some booking, then you can get that up really quickly in sort of a couple of weeks. And we like to do that so we can get them training quickly, so they can get used to using the application and working out, who's actually going to be using it over time. So that bit, very, very quick indeed. And I think, typically I think we've got sort of a number around the world that we're implementing at the moment, and the average is about 3 or 4 weeks, which is quite a good speed.
Do you take them through full training then?
Yeah, we do, and I think one of the beauties of the system is that you don't have one person that knows everybody, knows everything, or at least you don't have to, because you'll have people that are interested in occupancy, and you can devolve that to sort of maybe half a dozen people around the organisation. And they're just moving people on desks that they control, working out whether things are going to be shared or whether they're going to be fixed desks. Then you have people who are doing moves, adds, and changes. They don't necessarily need to know about that part. They're just interested in moving people around. Then you've got people involved with space strategy, and then you've got people involved with redrawing, and then you've got people involved with assets. So we train people in what they need to know. I mean, with a really small company, that might be 1 or 2 people that have to know everything. But with a larger organization, the moves training can be done in a couple of hours. We can get somebody up and running, and it's just a sandbox. You can give them sort of privileges to move everybody, so they can move all of the Nigels onto the 3rd floor if they really want to. But they can't make it happen. It's all done in abstract, so they can't actually pull the lever and make it all happen. That has to be done by an authorized user. So it varies. We do full training, but I think one of the beauties of the application is that not everybody has to know everything.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Alan, so much for joining us. And it's really fantastic to chat with you. Thank you all for joining us as well. And if you want to find out more about the products discussed, you can book a meeting with a representative from their exhibitor booth. Otherwise, we'll be back for our final presentation. This morning is flying by at 12:15 with another product demo from Flexware. We hope to see you there.